All right, sports fans, how's everybody out there doing? William Martin coming at you one more time here on YouTube with another edition of the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge Podcast. So, Eric Dickerson is going to continue to be the NFL's single season rushing leader as Philadelphia Eagles Pro Bowl running back Saquon Barkley will finish the season just 101 yards shy of surpassing Dickerson's record. And of course, there was much speculation over this as far as whether or not that Barkley was going to play in the Eagles' final regular season game, but it is not going to be. You look at it right now, Philadelphia, so far, they're 13-3 on this NFL season. They have locked up the 2 seed in the NFC playoffs, and they have decided to rest Barkley. And of course, if Barkley had played this Sunday, it was going to be a very interesting scenario. Why? Because we would have been talking about Saquon going for the record against his former team in the Giants. But nonetheless, it's one of those where the Eagles have themselves a championship caliber team. And Saquon Barkley's presence is a big part of that equation. It's one of those where clearly, Barkley and the Eagles are showing, hey, individual records are nice, but you know what? We got bigger fish to fry as we're trying to get that coveted Lombardi trophy. But some people are going to say, well, question whether or not it was the right move or whether or not that it was the wrong move for the Eagles to sit Barkley for this game. I'll tell you like this: you don't have that many opportunities to go out there and break this record. I mean, granted, it would have had to have been done in a 17 game season, not a 16 game season, like when Dickerson set the mark. But nonetheless, it was a perfect storm for him this season. And like I've said before, and I will continue to say, I expected Saquon to go out there and have a big season because he wanted to prove to a lot of people that he could still get it done. There were some out there who really thought that he was finished in some ways after he left the Giants. And there were some people out there who felt like the Eagles may have overpaid for his services. But you're talking about a guy who's in the prime of his career, and clearly he was held back by playing on a bad team. But clearly, the Eagles are a huge upgrade, better quarterback, better offensive line, better wide receivers, just better organization, period. And nonetheless, Saquon hit the ground running, and he's kept on doing it with some big games this season. And of course, his last game for the regular season, he just went for 167 yards on 31 carries this past Sunday in a win over the Dallas Cowboys. But like I said, you don't get too many opportunities to go out there and have, break a record for individual glory. And he may not ever have another opportunity for it. You never know. But nonetheless, like I said, the Eagles are looking at bigger things because Saquon didn't come to Philadelphia for individual accolades. He came there to be a part of a championship team. And remember, it was just 2 years ago that the Eagles were in the Super Bowl, and they were right there uh, against the Kansas City Chiefs before losing that contest. So, nonetheless, you look at it this time around, the Eagles are hopeful that Saquon can be the missing ingredient for what they hope is a championship dish. And with that said, things have changed in the postseason. It's no longer a time where the top two teams in each conference get a bye. It's only the top team. That's going to, of course, either be the Vikings or Lions. We're going to find that out Sunday night. But nonetheless, if you're Philadelphia, you've got to turn right back around the following weekend and host a first round playoff game. So you need Saquon fresh and ready. Who's to say that, Saquon goes out there and breaks the record? But even if he's not hurt, who's this just to say, you know what, that extra week, he's a little bit less fatigued? Or what if there is an injury? I guarantee you, you got some folks out there in Philadelphia that are ready to crucify Nick Sirianni as is. Why, I don't know. But nonetheless, imagine if the decision had been made for Barkley to go out there and he gets injured. It's one of those where if Philadelphia is chasing a championship, they darn sure am not going to win one without Barkley. And maybe, just maybe, the injury to starting quarterback Jalen Hurts factored into that. We saw the Eagles stumble as they lost a couple of weeks ago to the Washington Commanders, came back after the slow start this Sunday against Dallas and really turned it on. But nonetheless, if you are Philadelphia, you want all of your key players fresh, healthy, and ready to go in the postseason. Now, it's one of those where some people are still going to question whether or not it was the right move or the wrong move to sit Barkley. Again, individual records don't come around that often, but Barkley is a team first guy. You go back to the Eagles' first game against the Giants back in October. Barkley had 17 carries, and on those 17 carries, he had accounted for 176 yards on the ground with one rushing touchdown. Nick Sirianni did give him an opportunity to go back into the game, and he said no, let the young guys eat. And Barkley has always been about team. He was about team at Penn State. He was about team during his time with the New York Giants. Just ask them how much his presence of not being there has affected that team right now. And then, of course, he has been about team with the Philadelphia Eagles. And when you're talking about team, it's for the whatever is the betterment of that team. Okay. And I think at this point, if you are the Eagles and if you are Barkley, the best thing going for you right now is to have an opportunity to go out there and win a championship. Nobody remembers who got to the Super Bowl and lost. It's all about the winners. Okay. So the Eagles got there and were denied 2 years ago. And getting there and winning are two different things. And to quote the late, great John Madden, winning and losing the Super Bowl might be the biggest gap in professional sports that there is. So I think that, in my opinion, I do feel that the Eagles are making the right decision to rest Barkley. Some people are saying, well, they better go out there and win the Super Bowl right now. Winning the Super Bowl is not guaranteed. I get it. And of course, it's one of those where, let's just say he went out there and got the record, but got hurt, or he's like not as fresh as the Eagles need him to be in the wild card round game. So nonetheless, I think there's a lot of different equations, but nonetheless, I think the Eagles and Barkley are handling this right. I don't think that there should be or will be any additional pressure on them for them to go out there and ball out in the postseason, because I truly do feel if the Eagles are clicking on all cylinders in the postseason, there's not a team in the NFC that's going to beat them. Okay, regardless of record, regardless of where they have to travel to. That's how talented, that's how balanced this team is. And I think if they're clicking, again, like I said, there's not a team out there in the NFC that's going to stop them. So, nonetheless, the decision was made. I respect it. I think the Eagles are doing the right thing. Individual records are great. But for a guy like Barkley, he wants to be a part of a championship team. He wants to be the last team standing, not the last guy standing, the last team standing. And let's see if come February that does come to fruition as the Eagles are trying to claim another Lombardi trophy. But folks, that is going to wrap it up. And as always, I want to take this time out to thank each and every one of you for tuning into the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge podcast here on YouTube. I want to take this time out to thank all of you fine folks out there for tuning in. And if you haven't already, please feel free to subscribe to this channel. Now, if you're on the X, formerly known as Twitter, please feel free to follow me at 300 Pounds of Sports. And like I always say, if you follow me, it will be my pleasure to follow you right back. There's also the sports discussion group on Facebook at the Sports Depot 365. Now, you can check it out. Drop a line and be a part of one of the better sports debating sites going on social media. So once again, fine folks, my name is William Martin, and I am signing off. I'm saying take care and have yourselves a wonderful day.